Our president last night did a pretty fair job, I think, of talking about Iran, the difficult situation there, and the very limited options that are available to us, and the caution certainly that we must proceed with in that very difficult predicament that we're in.
You can call Auburn the Tigers, the War Eagles, or the Plainsmen, but you can't call it the other school. At least that's according to Doug Barfield. It seems the Auburn mentor is tired of Alabama's attitude. He's quoted as saying, "Alabama looks down their nose at us. They don't have any respect for us." Well, if Alabama has no respect for Auburn, Bear Bryant is leading the way. His teams have a 15-5 record against the Tigers. Bryant has called Auburn a cow college, but cautions there are an awful lot of good cow colleges. Barfield's remark puzzles him.
I don't look down on Auburn people. I look up to some of them very much, but I don't know. I really don't know what Doug meant. I know what he was doing. He's trying to get the team ready and the people ready, and I don't blame him for that. I'd do anything to do that too, but I didn't quite get the point. I'm not bright enough to understand those things.
What the Auburn-Alabama feud is really about is winning and losing. Alabama has done all the winning in recent years, but Auburn will have the opportunity to change that on Saturday. Fred Albers, WSFA TV Sports.
The proposal creates two separate Metropolitan University system boards. The Montgomery Board would be made up of representatives from Auburn University at Montgomery, Alabama State, and some gubernatorial appointees. Alabama State would still have its own board of trustees, but AUM would break off from the Auburn system, becoming a separate institution with its own board. There is a third school involved, Troy State University in Montgomery. Executive Director Dr. John Porter says if the proposal is approved, most of TSUM's classes would be phased out within 5 years. He does say the metropolitan system is designed to eliminate duplication while improving educational opportunities.
It provides a very direct method of preserving the institutions concerned, while at the same time creating the means for eliminating those vestiges of the dual system.
On December 13th, the Alabama Commission on Higher Education will conduct public hearings here at the Civic Center. At that time, students, teachers, and the colleges involved will have their chance to discuss the proposals and their impact. Paul Roth, WSFA TV News.
The important thing about the Iranian situation currently is the fact that they're still continuing to produce and export to other countries. So in the overall global context of oil supplies, that oil, as far as we know, is still moving. So I think what's happening is that perhaps some of the companies are able to shift some things around. And furthermore, our stock position in this country on crude oil and heating oil is very comfortable right now. Now, it won't last forever, and we're probably going to be a little short, but hopefully not to the extent that we were last spring.
There's reason for excitement at Stanhope Elmore this year. The Mustangs are a perfect 12-0 and are in the semifinals of the state 3A high school playoffs. The Mustangs have gotten the job done this year using a power I formation. Terry Mustin does most of the running, along with freshman tailback Andrew Gilder. However, Coach Jimmy Foshee says the defense have been the Mustangs' strongest game.
We've felt like we've had a real strong year defensively. Had 6 shutouts, and our kids have done a real good job there.
You're on a 4-4 defense. That's a little unusual for high school.
Right, we copied Auburn several years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, I guess, and been using it ever since. It's been real good for us. Most people use a 52 defense, but we play the old Auburn type 4 defense.
The problem with having a perfect 12-0 record is that everybody lays waiting for you, trying to put you in the loss column. Jackson will be waiting for the Mustangs this Friday night. Fred Albers, WSFA TV Sports.
Those we have been able to talk to have expressed surprise at the AIC plan. Commission member Jack Rayner told us Executive Director John Porter may represent the opinions of the AIC staff, but not of all of its board members. And AUM Chancellor Hanley Funderburk criticized the lack of input by his school and others into the small segment of the plan. Funderburk says he'll have nothing more to say until he's studied and analyzed the entire set of proposals. The plan at this point creates two Metropolitan University System boards, one in Huntsville, the other in Montgomery. In addition to the new regulating body, AUM would be removed from the Auburn system and form a board of trustees, while Alabama State would keep its board. The third college in Montgomery, a branch of Troy State, would have most of its classes slowly phased out over a 5-year period. On December 13th, the commission will meet and hear what the public has to say about the proposals. Paul Roth, WSFA TV News.
There's reason for enthusiasm at Stanhope Elmore these days. The Mustangs are a perfect 12-0 this season and are in the semifinals of the state high school playoffs. The Mustangs have reached those heights using an I formation with senior tailback Terry Mustin and freshman tailback Andrew Gilder providing most of the power. However, Coach Jimmy Foshee says the defense has also held its own.
Felt like we've had a real strong year defensively. Had 6 shutouts, and our kids have done a real good job there.
You're on a 4-4 defense. That's a little unusual for high school.
Right, we copied Auburn several years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, I guess, and been using it ever since. It's been real good for us. Most people use a 52 defense, but we play the old Auburn type 4 defense.
The only trouble with having a perfect record is that everybody shoots for you. It's easier to get prepared for an undefeated team, and the Mustangs will once again be tested this Friday night when Stanhope Elmore and Jackson collide. Fred Albers, WSFA TV Sports.
The Enterprise City School System opened its school year with a record number of kids in attendance. There were so many, in fact, that 163 of them didn't have classrooms. 140 were in the elementary grades. The problem was obviously growth. More families with preteen kids moved into Enterprise than the school system had planned for. The problem was not looked at as serious, only as a sign that Enterprise was drawing more people than the school system had thought it would. A good sign for the community, a slightly tangled circumstance for the school system. Handling a sudden growth surge such as this isn't going to be tough for the Enterprise City School System. Among the options are to build or, secondly, to purchase temporary mobile classrooms.
Our first concern is to build permanent structures to house students, and we will do that next year for these 2 schools.
And if in the interim, should you need to go to relocate?
We are ready. In an emergency situation, if we get a big influx of people into the Enterprise School District, right after the Christmas holidays or whenever, we can go to portable classrooms and get by for the rest of this year. But we're going to put our students in permanent structures. We're not going with portable classrooms on a permanent basis at all. No.
While construction plans are already being made, school must go on, and the students are having to be put somewhere. Some of the kids are attending class on the stage of the Rucker Boulevard Elementary School. Others are meeting in a room that had originally been set up as a health room. While these kids work in their unusual classrooms, funding the expansion of the school offers no complication.
Officials of the Enterprise City School System say Enterprise residents are largely responsible for the success in dealing with the growth pains. In January of 1978, in the wake of Proposition 13, the residents of this city passed a 5 mil ad valorem tax, which goes directly to education.
Is this going to in any way affect the type of education these kids are getting?
No, sir. We think that we're providing them with an opportunity to get a good education, even in this circumstance.
Those kids meeting on those particular locations are not facing other distractions or anything like that?
No, sir. Everything that could possibly be done to give them a good environment to learn in has been done.
The parents of the Enterprise City School students have done their part in financing and supporting their schools. The kids don't seem to mind the temporary conditions, and the school officials are well on their way to expanding the schools in Enterprise to accommodate not only this year's student surplus, but any future unexpected increases for the next several years. Chris Grimshaw for Alabama Illustrated.
Presidents of 2 of the 3 universities involved in the Montgomery portion of the plan say it's not so much the proposals themselves that has them upset, just the way the announcement was handled. Yesterday, we were told this at the start of a news conference.
It has become evident that some people have some versions of that state plan already, and rather than to have erroneous information distributed, I've decided to release one part of the plan to you today, complete in its full text.
So because of that, none of the institutions involved knew anything until the media reported it.
We were informed earlier that this would not be handled in this fashion, so we are surprised and really disappointed that the commission staff saw fit to operate in this fashion.
Troy State University President Dr. Ralph Adams echoed Funderburk's sentiments, adding he has yet to receive a copy of the proposals. Both men said AIC had promised each school would have input into the 5-year plan, but none of the universities were contacted. Next week, the entire plan is scheduled to be released, and the following week, the public and the schools involved will have a chance to comment further at the Commission's December 13th hearing. Paul Roth, WSFA TV News.
We're going to put the prison right where we were going to put the prison to start off with, and that's in the site that ought to be. They talk about a controversy. There ain't no controversy on that. I don't understand why I can't put that to bed and rest once and for all, and that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know what the controversy is. I do not understand the controversy.
Frankly, have had a good time. I want to end this thing on a serious note.
It is to make the decisions in your behalf is a bunch of crap. That night in Montreal, Canada, I had an opportunity to address the leadership of 67 countries, the Mayor of Montreal, the Minister of Labor of Montreal, and Bill Chandler will be traveling in those countries, meeting their prime ministers. And he'll be introduced by the leaders that were there in the reception line, seeing Bill's governor with him in Montreal. I wish I could say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that I could spend every dollar of your tax money as well as I felt like I spent that $5 grand.
The Montgomery County Commission, accused of overcrowding its jail, is telling the federal court 2 things. First, that it has passed a resolution to take over the operation of a restitution home in the city, and second, that it has passed another resolution opening the door to building a new jail facility. The commission last week decided that if it was going to spend a lot of money on jail space, it might as well build a new one. The resolution exploring the idea of a new jail is only a week old, and no concrete plans have been made. The restitution home would amount to a halfway house and would be a home for some work-release inmates. The Attorney General's office has ruled that the commission is not violating any laws by taking over the restitution home. The Board of Corrections has turned in a report that lists planned construction which would convert some present facilities into temporary bed space. How much bed space will all of this actually create?
About 265 that they know of right now. And as I say, the other areas they're looking at, the utilization of the metal buildings. Now this would be purely an interim barracks structure as part of response to this order here.
The state did not list as an alternative its planned 600-man prison, which it plans to build in St. Clair County. Hales says that is very public and is not part of the interim solutions to the overcrowding problem. Chris Grimshaw, WSFA TV News. In a report on proposed expansions of jail facilities, the Montgomery County Commission lists exploration of a new jail facility as one alternative. The report affirms the earlier commission resolution which raised the possibility of a new jail. The report is in response to an overcrowding suit before federal judge Robert Varner. The court had ordered both the county and the State Board of Corrections to file plans. Another option listed by the county is an Attorney General approved proposal to take over a restitution home and run it as a sort of a work-release center. The Board of Corrections has given in its report a number of alterations to some present facilities. I asked prison spokesman John Hale just how many extra beds these changes would create.
About 265 that they know of right now. And as I say, the other areas they're looking at, the utilization of the metal buildings. Now, this would be purely an interim barracks structure as part of response to this order here. And as I say, the later utilization would be for industrial use and so forth.
The state's report didn't mention the proposed 600-man jail plan for St. Clair County. Hale says the plan is for future permanent space, but not part of any interim solutions. Chris Grimshaw, WSFA TV News. There'll be some familiar faces missing from the crimson and white lineup this year. Most noticeably, Reggie King is gone. Sophomore Philip Lockett will now center the ball, with Ken Johnson and Eddie Phillips rounding out the front line. Robert Scott and Eddie Adams will play guard. Coach Newton has stressed fundamentals in preseason practice and is pleased with the team's progress.
Based on what we set out to do, I think they stack up very well. For example, I think this team's developed a good team concept. They play together well. They're playing full-speed basketball, which we've asked them to do. I think they're a well-conditioned team. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be improved defensively. The big question mark I have, essentially, is how strong we'll be on the boards. And then the other thing that is of concern, but you can't do anything about it, is the experience factor. We're going to be playing a lot of young, relatively inexperienced players, and the only way to get experience is to play.
Newton is a firm believer in a strong defense. He's stressed backcourt play throughout the preseason, and tonight we'll see how well the players have learned their lessons. Fred Albers, WSFA TV Sports.
See that? Any questions on that?
have the housewife who's at home ironing and turns on the television or sits down and smokes a cigarette and has a cup of coffee. She watches actors portraying characters who have just horrendous problems and just, I mean, their whole life is just a total depression. And the psychology behind that is that, well, they can look at that and say, I think I've got problems. Look at that, look at Jeff Weber, look at Greg Forrester. So it's a little release. It's
Also, what it does is I think it also duplicates what life is about to a degree, much more than nighttime television. I mean, it's just not TNA.
They get away with a lot more on daytime.
Absolutely, but it's not. But solely because it's more. I think it's more honest. Because I mean, if you look at nighttime, although nighttime is wonderful, it's mostly girls with big breasts getting into cars, slamming cars, and getting in car chases or getting shot at. This is like, you know, I mean, the environment is about as big as this, your stage, and you have to be one-on-one with the person. And I think the great success about soap operas is because there's more communication, you know, on the show, because you can't get in a car and do a chase scene. You can't shoot some person, you know. I mean, it's like, it's daily confrontation, and it duplicates life to a degree.
Promoting them pretty good, but not like I felt, because I'm a soap opera fan. I mean, I watch them every day. I watch young...
5-year-old Kenneth Robinson was shot and killed last night when police say a shotgun blast is believed to have been fired through this window at 1802 Dixie Court. Montgomery Police Detective Danny Carmichael says one man has been arrested and charged with that killing.
Keith Robinson, 5-year-old black male, was shot by a black male, later identified as Willie James Casby. The shooting occurred following an argument between the brother of the victim and the Casby subject. Casby was later taken into custody last night around 11:40 by investigators of the Crimes Against Persons Bureau of this police department, and he is presently in jail charged with murder.
Carmichael says the argument involved the victim's older brother, Jimmy Robinson, and another relative, Neil Robinson, and two Casby brothers, Willie James and Tommy Casby of 1811 Dixie Court. Officers say the Casby brothers and the Robinson family members were arguing when Willie James Casby came up with the shotgun. Police are not sure where everyone was during the shooting, nor are the police sure just how many shots were fired. Another of the Robinson family members, Neil Robinson, suffered shotgun blast injuries to his knee, but his injuries are said to have been minor. While Willie James Casby has been charged with murder, the investigation goes on and more charges are pending. Chris Grimshaw, WSFA TV News.
Take 71 units marching down Main Street, add a few baton twirlers, a couple of marching bands, old cars, and plenty of smiles, and you've got the ingredients for a spectacular Christmas parade. It was a colorful procession for the young and the young at heart. According to parade chair couple Jack and Shirley Devaney, this was the largest number of units ever in the parade, and each one received a trophy. However, the small token of appreciation was no match for the smiles and waves each person in the parade received. Hundreds lined the main street as the procession headed by honorary parade marshals Marge Payne and Dan Atkinson of WSFA TV wound its way through downtown Wetumpka. They had come from all over south central Alabama for the celebration, from Tallahassee, Waldsboro, Eclectic, Elmore, Prattville, Montgomery, and Wetumpka. Next year, officials are planning to have their annual parade through the city and one simultaneously on the Coosa River. Paul Roth, WSFA TV News, Wetumpka.
manager then that was promoting them pretty good, but not like I felt, because I'm a soap opera fan. I mean, I watch them every day. I watch Young and the Restless, One Life to Live, General Hospital every day. I'm glued to the place. So when I found out there was a chance for me to promote these guys and know them, and let everybody else know them, travel around the country and let them meet them, that's what I did. So that's what we're doing here. I wanted to come home to Montgomery and let the people that I know meet them.
Yeah, you're working up in Memphis now.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody knows you here as the Birdman, your local radio favorite.
Yeah.
How's it going up in Memphis?
Well, I left WHHY about on Valentine's Day, and I've been in Memphis, and it's been very good. I'm working afternoons, and the town is great. They've accepted me because, I've got involved with the charities and March of Dimes and everything. Yeah, I'm on the board of directors, March of Dimes, and Muscular Dystrophy in Memphis, and working with Danny Thomas, St. Jude, and everything else. And when the people, know that I really care about what's going on, it's been going pretty well. But this is like they said, something for them to branch out. So this is a way for me to branch out and to do something that I've always wanted to do, is to have my own company.
Anything you'd like to say to your friends in Montgomery now that you're back in town?
Hey, listen, the people in Memphis are a lot different than the people here in Montgomery. I went to the Christmas parade that they had the other night, and I couldn't believe the amount of people that still remembered me. But those were people that know that I really care about Montgomery, and I love them, like you, Michael. So it's just good to be back, and I'm happy to be here in town and doing this here.
It's good to have you back.
Well, thanks. And thank you for coming out. Say hello to Bob Howe.
The state of Alabama first recognized a vital need for public libraries. Efforts were coordinated through the Department of Archives and History. But in 1959, the legislature changed that, creating the Alabama Public Library Service. 20 years later, the APLS provides information to legislators and students alike. To celebrate the years of service, board member Mildred Phillips presented the APLS staff a small gift of appreciation. What about the future for Alabama's libraries? Director Tony Mealy says technology is the answer. He hopes that by January, the agency will have its automatic circulation system in operation and then establish an up-to-date microfilm file of material in the major academic libraries, the Birmingham Public Library, and their own facility here in Montgomery. All of this is designed to help Alabamians keep pace with the times. Paul Roth, WSFA TV News.
Several reports of broken windshields were reported to police this weekend from the Normandale area. At least 3 windshields were broken at the Normandale Shopping Center parking lot. More reports came in from Wesley Drive, behind the Normandale Shopping Center. All of the incidents reportedly occurred while the vehicles were parked on the street. Corporal Emmy Bailey with the Montgomery Youth Aid Division feels these latest incidents are not connected with those of last weekend.
These are isolated incidents from what we can tell, scattered all over Montgomery. We have no special trend on the acts of vandalism such as this. Sometimes we have numerous cases to occur, other times maybe half a dozen or so over a weekend.
Police are asking residents of the Normandale area not to park their cars on the street if possible, and to be on the lookout for any suspicious-looking vehicles or people in the area. Michael Jones, WSFA TV News.
By having a separate company take care of all inmates' medical needs, Commissioner Britton says the state can save about $500,000 a year. The Corrections Department has been hiring its own doctors and medical personnel. Now that responsibility falls to Prison Management Systems, a subsidiary of Brookwood Health Services in Birmingham. Britton says the $4.6 million contract is part of an effort to upgrade the Department of Corrections medical program, an area in which a federal court says the department is deficient.
We want the very best in each area that we have in the department. We want to bring the department up way above the standards that's set for prisons. And this is just one of the weaker areas we are improving, the same as all areas of the department.
Prison Management Systems will keep on 77% of the medical personnel now in the prison system. Prison spokesman John Hale says most of the rest of the employees will move to other areas in the Corrections Department. Britton says he thinks the new program will make Alabama's prison system one of the country's forerunners in inmate medical care. Lisa Nielsen, WSFA TV News.
This afternoon, staff members and health officials at the Montgomery County Health Department gathered to celebrate the clinic's success. Over the past year, the clinic has provided free Pap tests to some 500 women. 8 of the women tested had positive results, which indicates a higher than normal rate of cancer in this area. This early detection and treatment of possible cancer probably gave them a new lease on life. According to Cancer Detection Division Director Max Kane, Pap tests should begin when a woman is in her late teens and continue annually past childbearing years. Women aged 35 and older are especially susceptible to cancer of the cervix and uterus. It is these women who need the test most, Kane says, but over 50% of them have never been tested.
For strange reasons, women tend to forget about the importance of having Pap tests once they get past childbearing years. But that's exactly when our statistics show us that cancer is on the upswing in the female organs, and they really should be a little more cognizant and scrutinize themselves a little more closely past 35 years of age.
The Montgomery Clinic is open each Monday on an appointment basis. Women who would like the test may call the clinic at 263-6671, extension 60. Sydney Kohara, WSFA TV News.
Well, I think we'll see how much game slippage we have. I think from the standpoint of what I've seen in practice, we've improved defensively. But I think the defensive play is not only key to this season, but key to every season. Basketball is a game that starts at the defensive end of the court. If you can't keep people from scoring, it doesn't make any difference. You just can't continue to try to outscore folks. You got to stop them, and then you got to be pretty productive offensively too.